Okay, my name's Clare Laybourne and I work at Park Rehabilitation Centre and I'm the operations manager down there. And I got involved with the Disability Network because last year I got diagnosed with dyslexia, which I didn't realise put me on the disability spectrum, but it does. And I've also got osteoarthritis in both hips and both shoulders, so I've got a bit of a body disability as well. I did a degree, which were difficult. I just thought I was a bit stupid when it came to English with words and things because I just couldn't get my head around the spelling and grammar and punctuation. And I was doing a business case at work, and my manager looked at it and she just sort of said to me, she says, "Don't think I'm being awful." She says, "But can I send you for a dyslexia assessment?" She says, "Because I think you're dyslexic." And I says, No, it's fine." And it was a pleasant surprise when I realised that I have got dyslexia and I'm not just as daft as I thought I was. And just how my brain works differently, and I never realised before. So when it came to the spelling and how I read things, it sort of made a bit more sense. And when I'm trying to work things out in my brain, I'm very picture orientated. One of the tests they asked me to do was tell me what animals are in a zoo. And I couldn't just list off the animals. In my head, I was picturing walking into a zoo, the first one I came to, and I was going around all the compartments I'd been to when I'd been to Knowsley Safari Park trying to list all the animals. And apparently that's just one of the things, it's how dyslexic brains work. And I'm really good at solving problems, and that's another thing. So massive relief, really, just to realise that all them years of struggling, it actually made sense why I struggled. It just that I weren't stupid, because that's how you sort of get at school. That's how it was when I was at school. You were either very academic or you're in sort of stupid group, as it were. I started Taekwondo when I was 14, sort of like bullied into it. My sister was going, so my mum said I had to go. I did all the gradings, got my black belt, went into competing. While I was competing, I was a bit annoyed with the referees that were there at the time, because you always feel it's a bit unfair when you're the athlete. When I got married, I had kids. My kids went into Taekwondo. I opened my own club, was teaching myself, and I was taking my competitors to events. And I was still moaning about the referees like anybody in sport does. And the chief referee walked up to me at the time and said, "Well, do something about it then, stop moaning. If you're that bothered about it, become a referee." And that's what I did. 2010, I became a referee. 2018, I became an international referee, which then puts you on that opportunity where you can collect points to go to the Olympics. And we work in here, and obviously we have amputees, we have less able-bodied people coming in. It just gave me that nudge more, I suppose, to want to learn more about the environment I work in down at Park Rehab. And then it just sort of span off. I got picked for top 30 in world. And then that were it. The whirlwind began after Tokyo went, after COVID. Making history, with it being the first Paralympics, and that with Taekwondo in, and I'm actually part of that first match that actually went out, and walking out onto the court that first time. It was as if your heart had stopped when you entered the court and you all stood there and they called out your names and where you were from, and you did that wave, like the Queen wave. It was absolutely amazing. And for what made it more special is there's been all the trouble over in Afghanistan, and there were some Afghanistan players that were coming over, and they was told that they couldn't come due to all the fighting and everything that were happening over there. And as a governing body, all the world put together to try and get the people out so we could get them across. And there should have been 2 athletes that came across, a male and a female. Just before they got over one of the borders to get in so they could fly out to Tokyo, the male athletes and some of the people's, a bomb went off and they didn't make it. And the female athlete was the only one who got over. And she was the first match on that event. So it sort of meant a lot more because we'd supported them to try and get them out. And then it was just amazing. It was really emotional, that first match. And I stayed in touch with Amy because when I came back, I had a tattoo on my shoulder to commemorate Tokyo 2020. And she just said to me, "It's amazing that you're an ambassador for it all." She says that she's just made my heart sink, she says, when I saw that tattoo. At work, it's been fantastic. I mean, my manager's been really supportive because some of the events, it has been a very last minute thing with COVID. that we've had clearance to be able to actually go and run the event. So I could come into work one week and go, I'm really sorry, my selection event's come through. I need to be able to fly out to Jordan on Friday. Because of COVID, everything sort of got put on hold. So the events have come in at a drop of a hat because countries have said, yes, you can run an event here. And then at the last minute, something's happened. And they've said, no, you're not coming. Or certain countries couldn't attend because I know they stopped the Chinese from coming over when we had it in Jordan initially. So then we had to change the dates again. So no, they've been really supportive. They've let me just sort of escape when I needed to, when the invites have come through last minute. People just need to understand that if they're feeling that they're not good at something, it's maybe that they're not good at something. It's just they need a little bit more support. And that's what the Disability Network's there for, to give that extra support for the staff that need it and to make sure that if they need any reasonable adjustments, that things are in place. So if you are thinking that you're struggling with something, just ask for help, because that's what it's there for, and that's what your manager's there for, you to support everybody.